Alright, what's up guys? We're back. And this is one of our last episodes before we go dyno tune the WRX. There's a few little things you need to think about before you go to the dyno. And if your tuner does a pre-tune inspection like ours does, there's some things that you want to go over first to make sure that your car is ready. Because ultimately it's your fault if anything gets ruined on the dyno, damage, you have mechanical failures. You need to do your best to avoid that. And also do your best to have your car ready so that when you get to your dyno tuning appointment, you're not wasting the tuner's time by having him do a lot of little things that he really shouldn't be doing or need to be doing that you can do beforehand, and it's gonna cost you a lot less than spending money to have your tuner do it by the hour when you should just be tuning on the dyno. Now this list really just makes sense for my car, but you need to go through your own car and think about every system, fuel system, the turbo system, the air intake system, oiling, everything, and just double check, make sure that everything is in top-notch shape and the way that you want it to be after it's tuned before you start tuning, so that your tune comes out the way you want it to be. So, a few years ago, I used to work with the guy who's gonna tune this car. His name's Alex, you'll meet him in some of the next episodes, at a dyno tuning shop. I would do like pre-tune inspections, load the cars on the dyno, strap them down, hook them up to the dyno, and basically make sure everything was ready to go so that Alex could have a successful tune. And it's super important that you check over every little detail of your car to make sure that you can have a successful dyno tuning appointment. So check out the list. These are a few last things that we need to go over on my car in order to be ready for our tune with Alex in a couple days. All right, so it might sound like a no-brainer. It might sound like a no-brainer, but changing your oil is not a no-brainer. When you dyno tune, usually you're under pretty high loads during certain points in the tuning process, and your engine's under a lot of stress. Most importantly, you need good oil that's in good condition so that when your engine's under a lot of stress and being tuned, you don't have mechanical failures that are just because of you needing a simple oil change. Spark plugs, next system that you can check yourself. Check your spark plugs. You need ignition, you need precise ignition, not using old corroded, crappy, fouled spark plugs. So super simple, you can do it yourself. You just need to pull those plugs out, inspect them visually, make sure that they're in good shape. If they're not, or you're due for a change, just replace them. You don't want to tune with old spark plugs that aren't going to give you an accurate tune, because then you go change these spark plugs in the future and it messes with everything that you've already set up and calibrated during the tune. So have everything set up and dialed mechanically before you calibrate electronically. All right, the next thing. During our tuning session, we are going to be tuning with an access port, and we're going to update our access port before we take the car to be tuned. And the reason being is because if we take an access port that's not got the most updated software, the tuner is going to have to update our access port software before he can even start the tune. And that's going to cost him time when our car's already uploaded onto the dyno, when our car's already loaded onto the dyno, and in turn cost us money. So we want to take our car as well prepped and ready to tune to the tuner as we can in order to save ourselves time, our tuner's time, and money. All right, why do we need to deal with the ride height, right? I mean, we're tuning the engine, not the suspension. It's actually really important. As you're loading your car onto the dyno, you're going to be pulling, well, you're not going to be pulling your car onto anyone's dyno unless they let you. But when you load a car onto a dyno, you're going to be pulling onto rollers, and you're going to be strapping it down onto these rollers so that your car can't move in either direction. And usually you can press the suspension a little bit when you tie it down. in order to keep it in the same spot. So, if you put your car there on the dyno, strap it down, and all of a sudden it's rubbing inside your fenders, or anything's rubbing, your exhaust, you know, is too low, it's hitting the dyno, your wheels are rubbing your fenders, that's all really bad because you can't have any mechanical failures on the dyno. If your tire's sitting there rubbing the inside of your fender the whole time you're tuning, you're gonna wear through that tire, you're gonna get a flat, and it's super dangerous on the dyno. So we're gonna adjust our ride height up a little bit in order to make sure that we're gonna be safe on the dyno. Let me introduce you to something that we will soon be selling. One of the most important things for you to check in order to have a successful dyno tune, or any type of tune for that matter, on a turbo car, is that your intake tract, everywhere from your air filter to your cylinder, does not have any leaks. No boost pressure leaks, no vacuum leaks, nothing. Because what happens is if you try to tune with a vacuum or a boost leak, you're going to be tuning around a bad system. That leak will only get worse, or if you repair it, it'll get better and your tune will be wrong. So one of the most important things to do before a tune is to make sure that you have no leaks in your turbo system. Now, when I used to work at the dyno with Alex, part of our pre-tune inspection would be a boost leak test. So almost 80% of the cars that came in to dyno tune with us had boost leaks. Almost every time. It was crazy. And you know, even I catch myself after I assemble a turbo system finding leaks. But it's really easy to just tighten a hose clamp, think that it's on straight and that nothing's crooked, everything's sealed, but you have a leak. And you'll never know unless you test for leaks with a smoke tester or a boost pressure tester. So I spent a lot of time designing a boost pressure tester. Like I said, hopefully we'll sell this soon, gauging interest. We're going to use it to boost pressure test my car, make sure that I don't have any leaks, so that when we go to do our pre-tune inspection, they don't have to spend the 3 hours that they usually spend, and they say, whoa, your car's ready to tune. Did you build this? How is it ready? No cars are ever ready. Maybe I'm speaking too early, maybe I'll be wrong, who knows, but we're gonna do our best. All right, so we're gonna connect it right here onto our compressor housing. We use a silicone I use for my intake. All right, we got our cap installed where we can connect our regulator to, and we're going to pressurize all of our intercooler lines through our intercooler and then all the way to the engine. And we're going to test to the pressure that we are going to be tuning for. So, disclaimer, super important to be careful here. There's a lot of pressure in the air compressor and you don't want to cause damage to your engine with a boost pressure test. Now, we're going to use a little soapy water and we're going to spray it along the intake tract through the intercooler system, the intake manifold, and if there's a leak, we're going to see little bubbles happening and we're going to hear it. So, check this out. So there's what you're gonna see when you have a leak. Massive leak. Get that tightened up. All right, let's test again. See if it worked. All right, as you can see, we fixed the leak that we had, and I think that our turbo system's ready. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully that helps you get your car ready to dyno. We're gonna go ahead and finish up all those little things on that list. We don't need to show you how to change your spark plugs and oil. But next episode, we are going to be at ignition logic. So thanks for joining us.